Hey everyone, it's Michael Kikle. I hope you're doing well today, and I have a video here to review Pirates of the Caribbean 5 Dead Men Tell No Tales. Now, like I talked about in my review for Pirates of the Caribbean 4 on Stranger Tides, which was a terrible-ass movie, I've never seen Dead Men Tell No Tales until just now, and I've had it in my physical media backlog for like 5 or 6 years at this point. I loved Pirates of the Caribbean growing up, many of you know that. And when I found out that this film came out, or was coming out back in the day, and that Johnny Depp was there, I heard about some of the cameos, but I wasn't sure if they were true or not. I knew Javier Bardem was playing the villain here, Captain Salazar. I was super excited about it, because it also looked from the trailers like we were going back to the horror feel that 1, 2, and 3, mainly 1 and 2, had, and I was really excited about that. The thing is, though, I have heard consistently, for years, since this movie came out in 2017, by the way, that it was awful. I had heard constantly that it was the worst Pirates of the Caribbean movie, and I'm sitting here like, there's no way this is worse than On Stranger Tides, which wasn't even a Pirates of the Caribbean book. It was another book about pirates that was adapted into a Pirates movie, with Jack Sparrow tacked on, and Penelope Cruz put onto it too. And I hated On Stranger Tides, as I've already made clear. Dead Men Tell No Tales is not worse than that film. I don't care what anybody says. I don't care how much you gaslight me. This movie, in any way from logic to concept to CGI to acting to performance to tale, it is not worse than On Stranger Tides. I don't care what anybody says. So anyway, what is this movie about? Well, essentially Jack Sparrow is looking for the, the Trident of Poseidon, you know, the god of the sea or whatever we're calling it. And essentially it takes him on a long-ass adventure again, and you have some familiar faces, and some that are not, that are kind of the main characters. For example, the film begins with Will Turner. Orlando Bloom came back to make this movie, and I was shocked, but he's not really in it that much. He's literally at the beginning and at the end. And at the beginning, we find out that he has a son who keeps trying to sneak onto the Flying Dutchman, where he, pretty much resides. He's starting to look like Bootstrap Bill. Everybody like Davy Jones and everyone who stayed on the Flying Dutchman would get all those deformities and starfishes stuck to their face and shit over time, and they kind of just became part of the ship. That is slowly happening to Will Turner because of the curse of the Flying Dutchman and what happened at the end of part 3, with him technically dying. Technically. So, his son keeps trying to get onto the boat, and he keeps telling him, no, you can't do that. And eventually, he kind of puts the son off to look for a man named Jack Sparrow, and we kind of skip into the future when Jack Sparrow is kind of doing his own thing. This kid is a grown boy now. I can't even remember his name. It's been a few days since I watched the movie. I'm going to be honest with you. The actor was good, but I don't remember the kid's name. He goes looking for Jack Sparrow. They meet in a prison, basically. And he kind of goes with Jack. Now, there's also a chick in this movie who is, what is it, an astrologer? Is that basically what she is? But it's more about, she tries to figure out a map from the stars, but not really, in a horoscope way. But she's accused of being a witch because of that. Because it looks like witchcraft, but it kind of isn't, but it kind of is by the end of the movie. And there's kind of this, I really like this female character. Again, I don't remember her name either. I know that's kind of shameful to say that about a film that I enjoyed more than On Stranger Tides, but, I liked this chick. I thought she was pretty. I thought she had a good performance. I thought the character was fun. And they play up, okay, so movies got annoying back around 2016 when every female knew better than all the male characters, right? But Elizabeth wasn't like this in the first 3 films. She was really clever, she was smart, and she kind of became a backstabber by the end of part 2, you know what I mean? At least towards Jack. And all of that worked for me. This movie has a character here who, yes, she's smarter than most of the male characters, not like Jack Sparrow and Orlando Bloom's son, Will Turner and Elizabeth's son. Not that. But she's smarter than the idiots that work as henchmen on the boats, as it would be in real life. You know what I mean? The way she was educated as a character, she would be smarter than those guys. So that made sense. Totally made sense. And I really liked her in general. She really fit in here for me, personally. But the film has a villain here that has a past with Jack Sparrow. I really don't want to tell you much more than they used to work together. And that is Javier Bardem's Captain Salazar. And I have a very wish-washy opinion of Salazar. I like Salazar's history. I like his, mostly his look, except for his floating, goofy hair. Because it's going back to that, again, dark and horror-esque Pirates films feel to this movie. So he's supposed to be a ghost. His whole crew are supposed to be ghosts. And basically all of their hair floats like they're in water, right? And I don't hate that. It adds to this ghostly feel. I would have appreciated it more as a kid, but it's kind of one of those things like in hindsight. I think a lot of people who hate this movie that grew up on the first 3 or 4, I guess, they don't remember, and they probably don't watch these very often enough to remember how awful the skeletons looked, and the CGI was, at least with those skeletons, in Curse of the Black Pearl, right? The CGI for me did not really heavily improve until part 2. That's just my opinion. But I think a lot of fans, and a lot of fans who don't watch these movies very often, like I said, remember that. Or at least, whatever, know that. This film mostly has better CGI than that particular situation with the skeletons, but it's the goofy floating hair, and it's how Javier Bardem's face and a lot of his buddies' face on his ship kind of floats around. And I mean genuinely floats. We always joke about, actors' faces being put on like stunt doubles' bodies and stuff in movies. This is a situation where I truly think that it looks the worst it's ever looked. In a lot of ways. With that particular part of the film, when we have other things happening in the film that are not people, especially these bad guys, I think it looks really good. There's a particular flashback scene with a young Johnny Depp Jack Sparrow, a de-aged one. It looks excellent. It genuinely looks like he walked off of 21 Jump Street and went and made this movie decades ago, and then they put that film footage in here and restored it on like 4K or something. That's what it feels like to me personally. I loved that scene. I really did. But I also love, like, Javier Bardem, Captain Salazar, whatever we're calling him, his ship and how it, like, eats other ships. It's basically a ghost ship in its own way, which I thought was cool. It's very Scooby-Doo-esque. It has, like, some of the boards around the belly where the ship should sink, but it's a ghost ship, so it doesn't. It will come up towards other ships as massive as this ghost ship is, and it'll, like, lean up into the sky and open up the bottom, like all the boards and stuff, like teeth, and it basically will try to consume other ships, right? Now, there were a couple of moments that I thought were a little goofy with that. One in particular where the ships blow up. I didn't know your sea ships had gasoline power. I didn't know that. So it was a little fucking stupid in moments like that. But overall, I really liked Salazar as a villain. I liked his henchmen. I liked how, to me, they were kind of dangerous and where they were trapped in this whole situation that Jack Sparrow had put them in, involving Jack's compass, I believe. If I remember correctly, it had something to do with that. Again, it's kind of a forgettable movie. It's definitely not as good as the first 3 films, in my opinion. But the pulpy feel of this is so much better than Part 4. It feels like a Pirates movie to me. And it looks like a Pirates movie to me, with that grim, dark, pulpy adventure Pirates film that the first film really was. If you like Curse of the Black Pearl and you refuse to watch this one, you should totally watch it. Now, you need to watch 2 and 3 to really get what's going on with Will Turner in the beginning, that very small portion of the film, and kind of the ending of this movie that I don't want to talk about too much. You really have to... You have to have an appreciation for those first 3 films, mainly the first one and the tone it has, to really appreciate this one. But it doesn't have the set pieces and the fights and stuff that the first 3 films have, in my personal opinion. It doesn't have you on the edge of your seat with stuff like that. But man, I'd be lying if I didn't say I wish I had seen this in the theaters. I really wish I had supported it. And of course, this is before the whole Johnny Depp, Amber Heard thing. And it came out 6 years after On Stranger Tides. That's how bad that movie was, despite what anybody has to say about this film. I really hope that they don't just abandon this film in the canonicity. I really hope they don't, because they're apparently working on Pirates 6, and there's a possibility, there's a rumor going around as of today that I saw, that Johnny Depp and Orlando Bloom and Keira Knightley might be coming back, and I kind of want that. One of the things I forgot to mention with this film, and I've talked about this briefly in my other reviews, Barbossa is back in this movie. The human Barbossa. Bro, On Stranger Tides, and especially this film, absolutely confirmed to me I do not ever want more Barbossa in these movies. I just don't. It's not a problem with the actor, he's good, but I just don't like what they've done with Barbossa in the previous film, and especially not here, and what they try to do with him by the end of the movie. He's not in it a ton, if I remember correctly, but he's in it enough to drag it down, especially in the finale. I fucking could not believe the shit they pulled out of their ass in the finale of this movie. Maybe that's why people hate this. And I think it's a little overhated in that respect if that's the case. But man, I don't like the twist at the end of the film. And I know it's usually bullshit to give a review and say there's a quote-unquote twist at the end of a movie. You know, it kind of gives away that you're anticipating something to happen. I get it. But I do not like what they did at the end of this movie. Just something about it completely rubbed me the wrong way. But if I had a return of, like, Will Turner and Keira Knightley, I keep calling them, like, the actor and character names like they're in a relationship that way. If I had Will and Elizabeth's son come back and this astrologer girl, I would be cool with that. I don't know if they need to have a movie entirely involved with Jack Sparrow, but I would be fine with it if we did, like, a family movie, in the sense of, like, if Pirates 6 had the son, this astrologer chick, and Orlando Bloom and Keira Knightley come back with Jack Sparrow, that would be fantastic. I would totally be down for that. But I don't want to, like, forsake the son and this astrologer chick and only have Orlando Bloom and Keira Knightley. I feel like it's not fair to do that because of what they set up in here. I like what they did here with kind of these legacy characters and kind of the newer characters too. I was a little nervous about about Will Turner's son, but I liked him by the end of the movie. I liked it way better than the mermaid Christian man in part 4. I wanted to enjoy this more, but at least it has great scenes. I think the finale involving the anchor, aside from a twist thrown out there, I think that was some great visual stuff. There's one particular fight with Jack and Salazar jumping back and forth between the cannons on 2 of the ships. That was awesome. I really liked that, man. And it did have a little ante. It upped a couple of moments in that scene, despite the film not having a bunch of great set pieces or anything, like I mentioned. But I thought it was really cool. I thought it had some good writing to it. I feel like if the people who made this movie got to work on another Pirates film, maybe Pirates 6, despite what the so-called fans say about Part 5, I really think that they can make another good film. I really do. Pirates is so pulpy in nature that I feel like you could make an ongoing franchise of this and make some continuously really cool flicks. Now, I don't know what I would do with a Part 6. I don't really know any other specialty pirating stories that any of us would be familiar with to be able to bring up. But that's not, I guess, as important as I think it should be. Just come up with a cool villain like you had here. Just don't have him have the goofy CGI floating hair and a floating hat. That was not a good choice. That was not a good choice. But anyway, when it comes to Pirates of the Caribbean 5, Dead Men Tell No Tales, I liked this movie. I don't care what anybody says. The fans can trash me. You other fans out there on this channel can trash me. But I stick with my guns. I like this flick. I think it has a lot to offer. And I think it's fun. It's a little eerie, like I loved when I was a kid, despite it being the weakest out of the good 4 movies. Like, personally, I think I like At World's End more than this, even though that has some goofy shit, like opening up with a kid singing, and then a whole town, village, whatever, singing. That was terrible to end that, or to begin that conclusion movie on. And yeah, Pirates would be better as a trilogy, but I'm cool with doing standalone Pirates movies. I'm cool with doing a new trilogy, and I'm glad that they went back to form on this movie compared to how awful Part 4 was to me. So anyway, what do you think about Dead Men Tell No Tales and Pirates of the Caribbean in general? I'd love to hear your thoughts about a Part 6 and about this movie and all of that down below. Thank you all for watching, guys. God bless you all. Catch you later, and goodbye.